Vaya mi gente, how are you? Welcome back. What's up, ladies and gentlemen? What's going on, my peoples? It's your boy Hebot. I'm gonna do a quick video really fast. I want to touch on a subject that has been lingering around. Happy Friday to all you mother foes. Love you guys. I'm here having a really good Friday, even though I still am in pain, but I'm able to hang out and share it with one of my daughters, and it's fun to have her around, and it's always, a blessing no matter what. So guys, the topic of the video is basically Xbox fans. We need to keep our expectations at bay and be realistic about certain situations, and also we need to practice what we preach. So you guys are like, whoa, what's going on? Listen, I saw a couple of people, and again, this is not no shade at anybody, like Stallion, for example, yesterday on Twitter, saying how the fact that that Forza Horizon is getting incredible reviews, right? That Fable is in good hands, right? And the reason why I'm saying is Xbox, players, we need to temper our expectations and be realistic, is because the bottom line is this: Playground Games has definitely proven themselves as a developer, but Playground Games have not expanded themselves as developers. They've never really done any other genre but racing. So since they've done racing for the last 10 years with the first Forza Horizon, obviously they are a master of their craft now. They've been able to master the craft of racing and open world racing, right? And to be honest, me personally, I wish that the next Forza goes back to the original one, where it was less open world and more about the events, the story, and what was going on. It kind of felt mixture of Forza with Need for Speed, which I thought was cool, just to keep it fresh, not to keep doing the open world thing over and over again whenever they do the next one, right? But that's just my thoughts on it, right? I love Forza 1. I think it's Horizon 1. I think it's fantastic. It's fabulous. And at first, I was a hater. I used to tell my son, "Oh, you like that game? I don't really like it." But then when I finally got to sit down and play it via got compat with the Xbox One, when it came back compat, I really was mind blown. And that's how I got into the Forza Horizon as well. I've always been a motorsport guy. So anyway, what I'm trying to say is, guys, Xbox guys, I know you mean well. I know it's from the heart. I know you're looking at it from the same glass, that I am, right? Because you see all the praises, you see all the quality in the game. And I know for a fact, yes, Playground Games has the ability to make the game quality and have, spectacular visuals and things of that nature. But again, when it comes to making an action open world RPG or linear based RPG with open elements, more sandboxy, it's a whole different animal. It's a whole different dynamic and sense of element. Okay, they have to know how to do combat, character creations, character development, relationships between the characters in the world, a cohesive story, and not just, I'm in this car racing festival and event and follow a more simplistic style story, like in the way Forza Horizon presents. It's not the same thing. It's a big daunting task that I think that they were willing to take because they wanted to, because they were doing a game at one point that was supposed to be multi-plat action based, and it was canceled out. And I'm assuming, because again, I don't know, I don't work in Microsoft or at the studios of Microsoft, that they must have shown some type of pitch video with the potential or the ideas of what they want to do with Fable to Phil and the team, and they were like, yeah, these guys can probably handle it. They can take on the task, right? And that's great, because that means that they have confidence in them, which every company should have confidence in the people that work for them, because that's why they hired them in the first place. So, but the reality of it is they've never really done one. They can make Fable and it could look fantabulous and great, and then the game end up being lackluster or not really as good as people would expect, because the combat's not good enough, because the character development is not good enough, the world building's not good enough, the characters within themselves and the story may not be great, or the stories themselves may not be great. So you see, all that stuff applies, and that's where I'm looking at it and coming at it from that point of view and perspective. You have to take it with, because it's like if you had Coalition that's been doing years games for years, and you tell them, hey, go do me an RTS, which they did. That's not really a good example. Or go tell them, go do a action platformer, or go do a racing game, and do it vice versa versus what Playground has done. They're not going to have the same capability as Playground games. It's just not going to happen. And yes, teams help each other and come in to help each other with those type of elements. Like if Gears had elements where you were riding on a car and they want to make it feel more physics-based, more realistic, they can go to the teams at Playground Games and tell them, hey, listen, guys, we want to make this feel this way. This is what we want to do. Help us out and polish it. And it works out. But it's different doing a certain segment in a game like Gears, to have a segment where you drive, in comparison to doing a whole game where it's just driving. You see? And that's where I'm trying to allude to and what I'm getting at. That it's just very different. So when you see that, it's just, we got to be careful, because it may bite us in the rear end going forward long term. We cannot just assume because they're doing a great job in a racing genre that they can do a great job in an RPG action platformer genre, right? It's just not realistic. Yes, we can have the confidence because we know that they are a developer that does great work, and that's all fine, and I'm not taking away from them at all. I agree. At least we have the confidence that they're going to pull out something that should be, at the very least, more than subpar, obviously. But that they're going to do the perfect Fable game and the greatest game of all times, that's still to be seen. That's still a work in progress that we won't know for sure until we actually get our hands on the game. Because even if it looks graphically great, until we don't play and experience the whole package, we're not going to know if it was deemed worthy, because, again, story, gameplay, character development, character interaction, location variety, magics, choices, all that stuff that come with RPGs and action platforming world in an RPG world. So, that's my take on it. I think we need to just be realistic with it and not get ahead of ourselves, so that later on we don't feel, stupid about it, right? Or dumb with the idea that we misjudged based off something else, thinking that it would apply to a different genre. Because that's why we have all these developers that do specific genres, because of the fact that they're good at that specific genre. Like fighting games, with Iron Galaxy, for example. They just do fighting games. They're not going to be able to do a Gears of War type game. And if they did, that's going to be a work in progress. It's going to take time. Just like 2K with the wrestling game, in comparison to, let's say, Ukes, that's been doing the wrestling games since the PS1 era and PS2 for almost, 25 years, 30 years? And they learned to master the art. So that's a big difference. Even though Ukes did do action games, because they're the ones who did the Berserk game for Dreamcast, which was phenomenal. So to the second point of what I was trying to get to is that we Xbox gamers have to practice what we preach. And big shout outs to Unlimited Productions, because he did a video on that yesterday, and people are trying to get at him like he must be retarded, or he missed out on a memo, according to a stupid tweet somebody put up. When the person that did the tweet completely missed his point. What he was basically saying was the facts. We can't be hypocrites, because these are the same Metacritic guys that always catered and pandered to Sony all last gen, and that hated on Xbox, or everything Xbox, because it was the cool thing to do, because it was what brought in the cheddar, what brought in the views, what brought in the perception, and and the public audience to watch. These are still the same guys. The difference is now, because Xbox is the talking point in gaming, because it has the most positive talking points around, and because things are going very well in their favor, these are the same dudes that hated on them. So now they're talking good because now it's vice versa. Sony's not really having the good cred. So they got to try to make sure that they cover their asses, so to speak, right? Or cover their ground. So in case Microsoft is the sole winner this generation, they can say, oh, you see, we always supported Xbox. We always, since day one, this generation, we've always been on their side, la, 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 la. And so they don't look out to be hypocritical. Not because they actually care, but if we're using the same logic to the Sony fanatics, the ponies, the donkeys, whatever you want to call them, you know, the Pegasus Nation, whatever, if you want to use that metric of, oh, when they say and try to be funny and bash Xbox games so they get low Metacritic scores, when the reality of it is, that's only for the developer and favor the developer, because if they get good Metacritic scores, they get bonuses. That's the only real reason Metacritic is in a positive way for developers. That's it. You know, and for a potential sequel down the road, if a game does or scores well. But the reality is, if we're making fun of them and or trying to say, oh, who cares if the Metacritic score don't count? If the game's not scoring high on Xbox, that don't mean it's a bad game, because it's our personal experience that really matter, which is the truth. Then we can't be using that metric against them. Yeah, we could rub it in their face a little bit and nudge it. Well, you know, these games are doing well, and we don't really see Sony games doing well. But again, it's from unreliable sources. Metacritic is not reliable. If I see a guy in there that puts, I don't like this Xbox game because it's from an Xbox developing studio and it's considered a review, when it has nothing to do with what the game is about, don't talk about the game at all, and it's accepted, then that tells you there's no controlled quality in Metacritic. They just let anybody that's certified put in whatever comment they want to say or review about the game that has nothing to do with the game, and just allow it because they're certified. That means there's no control. So how are we going to be able to rely and trust on that Metacritic platform that allows people to do things like this that potentially hurt, and always, not potentially, but always hurt games that are actually good and that actually deserve to be praised and talked about and have great accolade? So again, that's a big truth. Unlimited was absolutely right. He was absolutely right. That makes us look like hypocrites. I will never change what I say. I say no matter what Metacritic say, no matter what any site says about a game, I experience the game myself. If it looks interesting to me or worthy enough for me to try it out, play it, whether it's on Game Pass, buying it, renting it, buying it used to then try it out to then buy it to see if it's any good. Whatever choice I make, I am the determined factor of a game's value or worth of my time to sit down and play it. Not my families, my daughters, my wives, my neighbor, my boys, not what Unlimited says, not what E-Rock said, no. The only thing I can do as a gamer to another gamer, say, look, I really enjoyed this game. This game was really fabulous for me. And I think based on how you play certain games and what you like, and me knowing you, you might enjoy it as well. So I would recommend it to you. So check it out. But again, check it out whichever way option is best for you. Because if you don't like it, then I don't want you to feel upset with me for recommending it to me and the game for you really doesn't hit the spot. You see? That's how I talk to people when I say anything about any game. Okay? And that's the way it should be with everybody, even the media. But they don't do that. So again, he's absolutely right. We need to stop being hypocrites. That's it. That's a very hypocritical thing to do as Xbox fans, calling out all this time bullshit on Metacritic scores for Xbox games because they scored 63 like Rise, Son of Rome as an example, when we clearly know it's not. And then they used it against us being clowns, and now we're going to use that same site that we know is unreliable because they have no choice but to praise the game because the game is quality and because that's what's going to bring them views anyway, because there's nothing else to talk about. There's no Sony games to talk about, so what they're going to do? Bash Xbox games? No, there's really not even Nintendo games to talk about. So they have to talk about games in a positive light, especially with the holidays, to get those bonuses and help these developers out to get these bonuses because it works in their favor long term. Because at the end of the day, talking about games and the gaming industry is what keeps their doors open and what feeds them their food and pays their rent and their bills. You don't fall for it. It's just like guys that always bashed on Xbox before, and now they're trying to go like, no, it's great, when we known them to be known ponies or Sony fanatics that always praise Sony but not Xbox because Sony's not doing well now, and then all of a sudden they want to be Xbox guys. No, you can't trust those guys either, because if you do that, the minute that Sony starts to get the upper hand and it goes against the grind with Microsoft, they're going to do the same thing. They're going to real quick alienate Microsoft, put it to the wayside, and then say all of a sudden, I'm a Sony fan. I'm a Sony fan because this is why Sony's great, because look what they did. And they just killed all the narrative with Xbox, even though they've been doing well for the last 3 years. They've been the talking vocal point for the entire industry. And it's been all mainly 99% positive or 98%. So that's the point of view. Don't be hypocrites, Xbox fans, because we're better than that, or at least we claim to be better than that. But when it works in our favor, we show our true colors. Then I guess that's how you can determine the real Xbox fans versus the ones that are just for the fraudulent time, or just because it's the hip thing to do to be an Xbox fan now, and then later, if it's something else that's hip, then we move on to the next thing. That's how you determine the difference between real Xbox fans and gamers and the ones that are just playing the role and going along with it to benefit them in the bag, right? Or in their pockets, which is nothing wrong with making money, but integrity is something that is very valuable and can't be bought. And most of the people nowadays don't even know what it means or what it is. And that's a shame, because it goes a long way, long term, when you have some dignity and integrity. Guys, that's all I wanted to say. Give me a thumbs up if you liked the video. Give me a thumbs down if you didn't like. Let me know down in the comments below what you think about my thoughts and comments. How do you feel about it? Your points of view. Just be respectful, because if you're not, I'm not even going to pay attention to you. I don't waste time with dummies. I already said this to you many times. Love you guys very much. Have a great weekend. It's Friday afternoon in my area. For you guys around the world, whoever watched me, thank you so much. Love you guys. Share it with someone you think might like the video. You can find me on Instagram always under C_respect, and on Instagram under the most powerful historian. So guys, yeah, I'll leave you with that, and peace until the next one. Bye bye.